Welcome back, everyone, to another SlabStox Live here on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We are back today talking about more sports cards. And what else? We'll be talking about sports as well, obviously. And Nate, I just want to welcome you to another great stream, hopefully.
Yeah, excited for it.
And welcome everyone who is here hanging out with us two nights in a row. Last night, of course, we had the Flip Quest episode, 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time, and then SlabStox Live every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So as you can see here from the thumbnail, we are talking about high-end cards take a big hit. Or in other words, that most of the or some of the market, depending on what you're looking at, or I guess you could say most has in the last 6 months declined steadily or rapidly, as depending on the cards you look at, which I think should come to no surprise to people based on how every single market out there in the world has declined in the last 6 months. Isn't that right, Nate?
Yeah, I would agree.
So at that point, it just pick your poison almost is the better way to put it. But we're going to talk about a bunch of different cards that are trending down in price. We're going to talk about why, outside of just the fact that, like I just said, pretty much all markets are pulling back, less money to spend on different investments, stocks, crypto, NFTs, or cards, obviously, if cards are for you, which most of you they are for. And then more money has to be spent on gas and food and whatever else. So before getting into this, I want to make another quick shout. If you missed last week's stream, we talked about Camp Kesem Charity Night happening again this year. And we are doing it again this year. When we announced the event, we had like 15K around there in donations or pledged, and we're already up to around like 30,000 something right now. So it's going very well. It's going to be a very exciting year again. Had some big donations come in that I can't wait to share on Instagram, and we'll share next week on the Monday Live. But if you want to help, you can help. You don't have to donate thousands of dollars of product like other people / companies are, which is amazing. We thank them so much. But even as small as a $25 raw card can go a long way. Obviously, I guess not obviously, if you haven't heard about this yet, but some of you have, Camp Kesem sends kids to camp for free whose parents have cancer. And it's a big deal for these kids to spend a week together and to find some enjoyment when it is definitely tough otherwise. And $25, you send a card to us in the mail. We will show our PO box here, and it's going to get graded for free by SGC. We already have like 150 some cards that are going to SGC, and we hope that many more come in. Our goal is 1,000. I don't know if we'll hit 1,000, but we're definitely hoping to hit as many as we can. And yes, SGC is grading every single card for free that comes in. That's $25 or more. And to donate, we did have a initial deadline of July 2nd on there. I still would like to keep that deadline pretty strict, but if some do trickle in afterwards, we would be happy to send another submission in. And the P.O. Box is there on the screen, SlabStox Charity, P.O. Box 320384, Franklin, Wisconsin, 53132. And you can just stick a $25 card in the mail if you do want to help out and go a long way. Like I said, hopefully it sells for $50 or more after grading, which would be amazing. And we look forward to seeing how much money we can raise for the kids again this year. Before jumping into the high-end discussion of which cards are trending down, we're here to talk about 9 different cards from last night's PWCC Weekly Auction for 23 on our Flip Quest Live. Dan, how are we doing? Good to see you again 2 nights in a row. And Nate, I'm going to have you pick your 3 cards here. Name them for us and the price range that it's in.
All right. So I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'm not going to pick baseball.
What?
Not picking Vlad. When you're putting it up against Michael Jordan and Tom Brady, I mean, come on. The best basketball player and the best football player of all time. Vlad Jr. is great. He will not go down as the best baseball player of all time. So for me, I think I have to go with that nasty, nasty Michael Jordan patch.
That is quite sick. Number out 25.
Yeah. So
2005 Ultimate Collection.
We're taking that. What year is that, Giannis?
2014, second year, diamond out 20.
See, this one is much tougher.
What's it between for you?
Well, it's between all 3. I love that Jamar Chase. Him and Joe Burrow could go down as one of the best wide receiver quarterback duos in history if the first year is any indication.
And they have the LSU power behind it too for the market collecting base.
Correct. Giannis, obviously, love him. Flawless out of 20 second year card like that, BGS 95. And then Conor McGregor gold of his first Topps Chrome card, I assume.
Yeah.
It's
a tough middle row.
Can I choose all 3 and forgo the $5,000 one?
Nope.
Ugh.
Pick one.
Well, I think the most upside is the Jamar Chase, so I'm taking the
Mm,
Jamar Chase. So we're
wow.
Michael Chase, and then lastly, just saw that the Hawks are potentially trading for DeJounte Murray, but not adding in John Collins, so that could be interesting. I think I got to go Mbappe.
Yep,
Jordan, Chase, Mbappe.
that is an Mbappe rookie from 2017 Museum Collection PSA 8. Ended around 115, I think, last night. So good choices, Nate. Now let's see what the early polling on Instagram is. And Elias says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You don't know the future. He might be the best." Referencing Nate Vlad Jr. Comments.
That's fair. Could be if he went on an absolute tear. Aaron, you didn't give us yours?
Well, I was going to after the
Oh,
after
okay.
the. Well, I'll give you mine because I did comment on the post. I went with Jordan Patch. It's impossible not pick that. That thing is awesome.
So nasty. I love that you can see two different chunks.
Yeah, it's awesome. So cool. I had to pick the Giannis. The Chase was a close sec. Actually, both of the, like Nate said, it's very hard to pick in that middle row with the 2017 Chrome McGregor Gold 50, the Chase RPA from Immaculate, and the Giannis. But I can't not pick the Giannis. I mean, it's so nice from Flawless and 9.5. And then I went with the Mbappe as well. So just a different middle row from you. And the overall early voting from Instagram has got Mbappe 61% of the votes, followed closely. Well, not closely, actually blew it away. But then the Collins and the Stormtrooper were 21%, 18%. The middle row had Giannis at 44%, Chase at 35%, McGregor at 21%. And then the $5,000 card had Jordan at 47%, Vlad at 29%, and Brady at 24% of the votes. Now, all this could change within 24 hours. We just put out the poll like 30 minutes ago, and it got voted on. But interesting to see some of how the market's reacting to this, and pretty similar to what we were saying, I'd say.
I feel like it, like choosing Jordan was the safe choice up there, or Brady. Vlad would have been, I think I can make the most money off this quickly. Would you agree?
I mean, the Vlad is the highest potential card on the table, I think.
Yeah.
Like
So
the Jordan will hold value and steadily rise, I think. But the Vlad definitely could go nuts if he has multiple years like he had last year.
yeah. So if I've already picked the Jordan, then it's like I feel like the Giannis and the McGregor are safe. Second year Giannis, obviously Giannis can do a lot of things,
Yeah.
but like the Jamar Chase, flawless RPA.
Right.
There's
No,
the
I
type of
feel
thing.
you. I feel you there for sure.
So safe, risky, safe.
I like it. I like it. Nice picks. All right, here we go. We're gonna jump right in. What is up, Chris? Good to see you. We're gonna jump right in and start talking about the different cards. Most of these actually almost all of these. I think all of them except for maybe a few of the last ones sold within the last 2 weeks, going back to June 16th, which was the PWCC Premier Auction, and then also this past weekend, which was Golden's Golden Elite Auction that closed ahead the $2.4 million LeBron logo man. We talked a little bit about it last night. Don't really want to speak too much on it because obviously it's already been beaten to death across all different social media platforms. But yeah, it's over 2.4 million. Fell short by over 50% less than the projected price thrown out there, and still an insane sale for a card that was just produced in the last year. So to see something like that just sell for 2.4 million is still a monster number. Just would have been, I think, a little bit more eye popping without some predictions thrown out there, I'd say.
Yep.
But Nate, talk us through what we got here first, because basically Nate chose the first half of the cards. I chose, well, it's more like first 65%. I chose the last half of the cards. So let's just go through this here, and you tell me why you picked them.
Yeah, so every card I picked, I did a 6-month trend just to show start of the year till now. It will say, sorry, it will say 12/26 on the thing, but almost every card is from January till now. I thought that was interesting because I think it's important to show what's been happening in 2022 and just completely cut out, for me, 2021 from the equation. And when you think of LeBron, you think of Topps Chrome, his Topps Chrome rookie, and X Factor number to 220. That should be like as safe of a card as you can get, right?
Especially in a high grade too, because a lot of these were really off center, like really, really off center.
Yeah. So when we say, buy the goats, buy this, buy that, super safe. Well, if you bought the goats, LeBron James, BGS 95, good grade, X Factor out of 220. Good card. You lost 37% since January 8th. How crazy is that?
It is crazy. And there's only 13 BGS 9.5s. There's only 7 PSA 10s. And then for 9s and 8.5s between the other companies, there's, a couple 100 or so combined. So it is actually a very, very tough card to grade, to the fact where you would kind of add all these things up together in your mind if you are looking to make a high-end investment and say, yeah, that's the one. Now, timing is a different story. Nate did mention, like, he said, I don't want to look at 2021. I will say, for a lot of these cards, if we did look at 2021 also, it could be even worse. So this is minus 37% here since the start of the year. Depending on the card, it could be worse if you go back and look to like even February of 2021, which is when like the Jordan PSA 10 Fleer hit like $800,000 or 700 whatever thousand. We'll talk about that in a bit. But this card right here, yes, down 37%. And the other tough thing too is that you, as a player and on the field or court performance, you have to do so much in a down market, quote, to maintain your prices, which didn't really happen at the Lakers in any sort of way as they missed the playoffs. So there was no extra push to try to maintain these prices and get people to spend money in a down market, because it makes them believe more in the short-term price.
And then a lot of people soured on LeBron the person. Add that in. Tough scene.
And I will say, like, all those things we mentioned that makes this, let's say, like a good card, those still apply a year from now, 2 years from now. You never know what's going to happen but just like we didn't know 3 years ago or 4 years ago how much the market was going to explode. We don't know how the market's going to bounce back. Obviously, there's a lot more to do with than just cards and just on the court performance, just like every other market out there we're talking about too. If you look at the long run for stocks over time, there's clearly ups and downs, but mostly an upward trajectory over time. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. And this is truly a wait and see. This is not a, this is going to go back up to 120K. I'm not saying that in the slightest way or form. It's just, let's wait and see what happens as maybe the overall economy starts to rebound. Then we'll get the true read on what's going on.
Or, not to be a negative Nancy, but because you spun a positive light, just in case somebody's like, ooh, the economy can keep going down and the next sale is 50,000.
Yeah.
45,
okay. So that's a great point too, is that just because this thing looks like it, declined, which it did 37% in the last 6 months, does not mean that the next one's going to go up 15%. It could go like down another 10%. And then we could be seeing a $50,000 card. So like there's no way to know the bottom, just like there's no way to know the peak. You just kind of make the best decisions based on where you're at financially, as a collector, as an investor, if that's what you would, like to do. That's just kind of the way that you got to go about it. There is no crystal ball, so to say.
Correct.
Next up, this is a super important card all time. Go ahead, Nate.
All right. So, of course, it's the Larry Bird, Julius Erving, Magic Johnson, triple 1980 Topps rookie. There's two of these. One doesn't have Julius Erving in the middle. The other one is, I'm not going to be able to remember this name. Who's the other guy? There's Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and somebody else.
I can't remember.
Not nearly as famous as Dr. J. But so we have LeBron GOAT, right? Well, then a lot of people are like, hey, buy vintage and 1980s, depending on if you want to consider that vintage or not. I suppose it's vintage now since it's 42 years old.
Let me just say really quick, card letters metric for vintage, I think, is like 1983 or 84. So this would fall into the vintage card index on their site.
Okay, so buy vintage was one of the things that everyone talks about, and we'll have varying degrees of vintage cards in here, some significantly older than this, and yet you see here 3 Hall of Famers, 2 of them being their first rookie card on the same card, iconic card, still down 21% since April 16th, just 2 months.
Yeah, so it sold for $840,000 on April 16, 2022, thanks to Card Ladder Pro here I'm looking at on my computer. It sold 2 other times for the $800,000 range, but if you go back to July 10th of 2021, it was $513,000, and then if you go back to February 23rd of 2019, $114K. So if you look at the amount of sales that would have lost money on this specific sale right here, you're talking about 1 for $720K on the first of 2021, and then 3 more, 861, 800, and 840. Otherwise, you'd be making multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars basically in any other sale if you bought this card. Which brings me to my point that I think if you look at these super high-end cards selling, not all cases, but maybe for this one where we would have to go back and look at the exact PSA serial certification number to see when it was maybe bought and resold. But this doesn't necessarily mean that people are selling this because they're willing to lose money on an investment that they might value long term, like this PSA 1080s, Bird, Dr. J, and Magic Johnson. This could potentially mean that someone looks at their card collection and says, wow, I bought this for 115K. Yeah, I didn't get the peak 800,000, but I'm very happy with 660. Nate, I feel like that depending on whoever's holding this card in their financial position, their other cards in their collection, whatever else, it could make sense to sell it right now. And then what you might do, which I think a lot of people might be doing right now who are in the green on these cards in the last 4 years, would say, wow, I can take that 660 and I can go buy that Mahomes NTRPA out of 10 that just lost $500,000 and buy it at 50% of the peak value and kind of hope that that one has more longer term potential. You know what I'm saying here?
Yeah. And I'm glad you bring that up because if you were going through, and I mean, most of these cards are from the Golden auction the other night on Saturday. Most of the ones I pulled, if not all of them. And if you go through that and you look at all these price drops, you say, wow, people that just sold on Golden auction the other night got absolutely destroyed. I mean, smoked beyond belief when compared to the last sales within the last 6 months. But it's a good point. They might not have been the person that bought this card 4 months ago. You know, they might have bought it 2 years ago and they're making $500,000 and they don't care. Sure, they could have made $300,000 more 2 months ago, but if you're making $500,000, who really cares?
And I mean, it's better than selling it for like 250K and not having $600,000 or something like that.
Yep.
But I'm glad, I'm glad that you did say. And also, like I said, like some of these are from Golden, some of them are from PWCC Premier. There is a mix of both. Nate grabbed a bunch of Golden, I grabbed a bunch of PWCC Premier. So there is a mix of, depending on the marketplace, they, a lot of these cards have declined some. Also, if feel free to drop any questions, comments, thoughts that go along with ours with all these cards we're talking about in the YouTube comments as we go. We'll be happy to read those off and add more into the discussion. We actually encourage it very much so, because we'd love to hear other people's perspectives too, because Nate and I will talk throughout the stream obviously about what we think, but it is pretty gold when we get people adding in their comments, because it does give listeners more things to think about in the market and why what's happening might be happening.
It's true. Also, real quick, Jim says, guys, who do you have ranked higher all time, Larry Bird or Steph Curry? I will say I'm not old enough to have watched Larry Bird play. I've seen highlights. Of course, highlights never tell the full story because they just pick the best of the best. Whereas I have watched Steph Curry play quite a bit. What I'll say is this. I know what Steph Curry has done for an entire generation of kids playing basketball. And I'm sure Larry Bird had an effect like that. I don't know if it's quite the effect that Steph Curry had on literally an entire generation, because before him, there was a lot of, feed the ball inside, feed the ball inside, feed the ball inside, play high-low. After him, it's, sometimes you see 5 guys outside.
I've had fights with friends about who are the most influential basketball players of all time. And my top 2, now I could go back and say a name also in like a top 3, like a Kareem or Wilt, but I don't know enough about that play style or generation, how basketball progressed over time, because I was not even close to being born yet. But my top 2 are MJ and Steph Curry. MJ influenced Kobe an unbelievable amount, which also influenced LeBron, and Curry influenced literally every single basketball player in the world right now shooting threes, like at the clip that they are. And you could say I'm dumb for not saying LeBron, but I don't think so. And it's like when Nate said, like, my kids that idolize Steph Curry and his game and how they play like him now, and also the amount that Steph's done for anyone that isn't like unbelievably physically gifted to play basketball too. Like, it opened up so many doors for people to play that normally would not have been able to, because it was, just a bully ball game. I'm not saying just only it was, but there was a lot of bully ball. And if you couldn't fit in that play style, you might not have a spot. But man, yeah, I love Steph and what he's done for the game.
Yeah, and I think I will say that, and I won't get into who is higher, Larry Bird or Steph, because haven't watched Larry Bird play in real life, and it's not fair to rank those guys because I can't. I could tell you who I like better between Mike Trout and Aaron Judge. I wouldn't be able to tell you who I like better between Mike Trout and Hank Aaron.
Yeah, I'll never be able to actually make like top 10 lists of all time. There's just no possible way. Being like, I guess now 24 years old, like, how am I supposed to do it? I can basically rank from when I started watching till now, like knowing how they made an impact on the game and people, and just like stuff like that. But I just can't. But yeah, I mean, I love Steph, and I think he's one of the best players of all time, and one of the most influential ballers of all time too. So he's definitely way up there for me.
Yep.
Next card, Nate.
This is one I found really interesting because obviously Mia Hamm, for as much as I know, the best female soccer player in the history of the world. If you listen to Americans, I'm sure there's European soccer players that are significantly better or African soccer players that are better. But for Americans, Mia Hamm is the go-to top of Mount Rushmore type of thing. And this SI for Kids Mia Hamm card is pretty iconic. And yet PSA 10 not only has it dropped, but it's dropped 54%. 2 months.
Yeah. Like that's a small amount of time. That is not the full year either. Nate, remember when there's the all-time record? This card specifically set the all-time record at one point for highest all-time female sale until Serena Williams just shattered those records with multiple new card sales. But her SI for Kids PSA 10 at one point sold for $34,440, which ESPN reported. It's a PSA Pop 3 right now. With a new one getting graded actually as of February 3rd, 2022, which could have been one of these newer sales. At any time you get even a small amount uptick in supply in a market that's set an all-time high, it very much so will lead to a lower sale the next one, I believe. Now, sometimes there's a different case to where this all-time record sale makes people aware of what the card is to where that they will then go buy it, which is very possible too. But a lot of times one more in supply does just bring down that buyer pool by one more. And Nate, this is so important with auctions. And I was thinking about this. I think it was Patrick Ryan posted an Instagram story about it, but the effect that happens to an auction when even just one bidder who might have bid is removed. Let's say, like in my case, like Saturday was my birthday. So when, all the different auctions are ending on Saturday night, I wasn't necessarily sitting there ready to buy a Charles Leclerc Dynasty. I look back the next day and I'm like, wow, I would have been on that card. And prices would have been 5-10% higher potentially. Maybe I didn't win it, but that final sale price would have been higher because I know I would have wanted it for that next amount of bid. Go ahead.
That is often my thought with that Dylan Cease foil board we lost for 113.
Yeah.
I was like, if we'd have been bidding, does it go to 200, 250?
Yeah, probably.
So,
and that's why you can never, like, I try to talk myself out of this all the time. You see an auction price sell and you beat yourself up. Why didn't I bid on that? I guarantee if it's a rare card, you're paying 25, 30, maybe even 40% more than what the sale was. It always takes two. And if there's one person missing, it could greatly affect the price, which then greatly could affect the next sale of the next card and the next card. Like,
especially
it really matters a lot.
Especially when we get, it's one thing to have a person missing on a $113 card. It's a whole nother thing to have somebody with a big bankroll missing on a $30,000 card.
Definitely.
Like, there's not that many people out there that are buying those. So if you were missing one, if you only have two people going for it instead of three, big drops.
And then can we talk about what happens when collectors get satisfied with what they have? That's another thing. Once someone achieves one of the 5 in the population or something, that's one more person that's satisfied when the next one comes up for bid that won't be bidding on it. Like, that happens with people collecting players all the time. For me, like when I've built my player collections, it's generally happened in maybe like a 3 to 4 month time span to where then going forward, I'm like, okay, I'm happy with my collection. I have enough. Well, any other card selling after that, I'm not bidding on. And I'm sure it happens with other people too.
Yep.
All right.
Real quick,
Yep.
Nick Foles says, does Nate have any tips for my first Whatnot show? I'm sure he means Nate and Aaron.
Yep.
Kind of nervous, but I've watched enough to understand how it should be run.
Yeah. So Nick Foles, my recommendation would be, it depends on what you're selling. First of all, like I don't know what you're selling, obviously, but if you have packs of sealed cards, if you have boxes, if you have singles, if you have slabs, if you have whatever it might be, you kind of got to get creative based on what you have. I will say this, there's a lot of people selling and whatnot. You really do have to be unique. You have to do things in creative ways. You have to be willing to, probably give away a few cards to incentivize some people to go and maybe support you on other cards or packs or whatever it is. And I would just say, go into it with an open mind, knowing that hey, there's a chance my first show, maybe I lose a couple bucks on this card, but maybe this other card make a couple bucks, and then look at the grand scheme of things. And then from there, you can just have to build your audience and build your following and build the customer trust in what you're doing. We've been selling on there for nearly 8 months now, and it did take a little bit for us to gain people on there who some people knew who we were already, but then others didn't. So they'll walk in and they have no idea who SlabStox is, who Nate is, who Aaron is, and you got to gain that trust. And then eventually, they come back expecting certain things. So also building a consistent schedule helps a lot. And I hope you have fun. I hope you get some people come to your stream.
Yep. And I would suggest, if you do like a mistake, like I have asked somebody, hey, what pack do you want? And they say right 3, and you or me, an idiot, grabs left 3 because I don't know my lefts from my rights. Well, you know what? They get left 3 because I've opened it. They also get right 3 because that's the one they requested. And those little things, owning up to your mistakes and making sure they're corrected on stream goes a long way.
It goes so far. That's how you build the best trust you can, is by knowing that I will just say, no matter who is going on for the first time, you will make mistakes. I made mistakes. Nate's made mistakes. It just happens when you're doing something live and you're just maybe one, and I've had this happen before too. Someone else comments the pack number that they think that the other person should pick, and then you pull that pack because of someone else's comments. So that's just the type of stuff to be very cognizant
of. I think I had one of those just 2 weeks ago. We're 7.5 months into whatnot, and I'd still grab the wrong pack at one point. And it's just those things will happen. Don't beat yourself up about it. Do the right thing, and you will gain customers.
I agree for sure. I want to point out here from Global Sports Card Investor, Sam Kerr is the best female soccer player of all time, in my opinion. Nate, where did Sam Kerr play for club level?
Is Sam Kerr Steve Kerr's daughter?
No.
Did she play at Chelsea club level or something?
She did play at Chelsea, and she's actually only 28 years old. She's from Australia, so Global Sports Card Investor, shout out to you. I think she's taking some time off due to some, what was it, not like a heart condition or something, or maybe I'm wrong, but her new Topps Chrome Champions League cards were selling like crazy for the set that came out in the Chelsea year, which is cool to see. And Chelsea's women's team is super successful too, which is cool. All right, this one I pointed Nate's way because this is one of the biggest losses, I think, in the shortest amount of time, potentially.
Ooh, yeah. This is actually a sweet card.
It is.
Number 1, Kevin Durant, 2007 Topps Finest X-Fractor out of 15. And yet, I don't know, is it the, well, I should state the drop here for people on podcast. 67% drop in the last 4 months from February 5th to June 25th, which is 2 days ago. It has dropped 67%, $13,000 drop, $20,000 to $6,600. Pretty crazy. Also, super sweet card. Do you think it's because of not only obviously economic factors, but also the uncertainty around Kevin Durant and where he's going to be playing next year?
Definitely. I 100% think that this has a lot to do with more than just the economic factors. You look at other players and their rare cards are dropping 70% in the last 4 months. And that's why I want a wide variety of selection here, which I'm glad Nate did, because there are more factors than just like all markets are down type of thing. This is a different case. Kevin Durant, a lot of his cards are dropping value. What's up, Nate?
I think you can tell that there's a difference because some of these cards are dropping 25%, some of them 37%, some of them 54%, one of them 67%. If it was just economic factors, you'd think they'd all drop in a similar range.
Right. And I will point this out. Surprise, surprise. So the $20,000 sale was on February 5th. Sale before that was $7,500 on July 22nd, 2020. But let's just go back to that last sale. February 5th, 2022, $20,000. It was a pop 1 when it sold.
It's now a pop 2.
May 5th, pop 2. So a second one got graded. I am absolutely sure of it. And let me look really quick.
I mean, that should technically shouldn't that cut the price in half?
I don't think it's apples.
If it's a pop 1 at 20,000 and you can get your hands on another one.
Yeah, but remember, it's not that easy.
I know, but it's just
it's not apples to apples. But Nate, it was a different one. So the first one that sold was 15 out of 15. This one is 12 out of 15. So this is the same scenario. Person that sells this thing for 6,600 was probably hoping for like 13 grand, got 66. But you have to imagine that if they grade
what if it's the same card? Can I find that out?
I just told you it's not the same card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not the same card. So whoever sold this is probably still making some money on this card, even in the down market, because they got the PSA 10. Like I said, not as much as they probably were hoping for, but still, it matters. It matters, meaning that like the person who bought for 20K is and say, hey, let me send this thing to auction right now. I don't think that type of stuff is happening right now. And then really quickly, Nate, before you move on to that, I want to bring up Matthew Johnson's comment. Is it a bad time to sell these high-end cards due to the economy? Should they just be holding until all markets get better? It depends what it is. It definitely depends what it is. If you see you have a card in your collection that you're like, one can kind of take the loss on it, knowing that maybe said player, said set, whatever it is, you maybe overextended on or made a mistake on, or know that the long-term future isn't very bright, then maybe it is time to sell it. But if it's something where you bought it because you had conviction, you believed in it, yeah, definitely don't sell them when like all world markets are down a ton. That just wouldn't make sense if you can hold it.
Yep. Real quick, Global Sports Car Investor says Golden State winning another chip hurts the Durant narrative. And not something I thought about, but kind of interesting. Obviously, they won before he got there. They won while he was there, but now they've won after he's left. And I think that is probably like one of those like Durant's championship was fake because they're good enough to win without him before. They're good enough to win without him after. Did they really need him to win? And if people don't believe that's the case, then you're not paying for prices for him like he's a champion.
Nate, I agree with you. On top of that, if he does leave the Nets, which is a possibility, not saying it's for sure going to happen.
For the Bucks?
It's not happening.
Sign and trade for Chris.
Don't you dare ship out Chris Middleton for KD. We will not only have a hurt player in the playoffs, so a hurt player most of the year. But that'd be kind of cool. Either way, my point is that if he does leave the Nets and goes to a new team and fails to win a ring with a new team again after teaming up with different superstars, it is definitely not going to be pretty, I think. He's going to have to succeed somewhere, like succeed meaning win a ring somewhere other than the Warriors, or teaming up with like, let's say like the championship or the champion that just won. So this would be the Warriors again this year. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I cannot imagine that the Warriors would ever take Kevin Durant back. Jim says no, Durant will go back to the Warriors if he leaves Brooklyn, then he will win another ring. I could never imagine the Warriors doing that to their organization. Why would they do that?
Well, they used up the money they used to use on him on Andrew Wiggins, and they've got Jordan Poole to pay in a few years. I don't think they let him walk. I don't think they would be able to.
Regardless
Durant
of the
Oklahoma City would be interesting.
I could see that. But regardless of the fact about like being able to do it, why would you do it? Why would you invite him back in after you already won 2 rings with him, after everyone who isn't a Warriors fan ripped on the Warriors organization, ripped on Kevin Durant, all this stuff? It's like you just won a ring without him. Why bring him back just to bring in more hate when you just kind of proved that like it was kind of like, I don't want to say a fraud, but like, you know, you can do it without him again. So
here's what we should do. Seattle gets a team before the start of the next season. Durant signs there.
Now I could see that. That'd be pretty cool. Let's move the Sacramento Kings up a couple of miles. Well,
they just got a brand new stadium like 4 years ago.
All right, never mind.
Sacramento Kings are moving.
Never mind. And KD again, we won't harp on this one too long, but this is his 2017 Topps Chrome Orange Refractor of 199 PSA 10. I think it's a pop 16 or 18, maybe a 16. But this thing dropped 32% in the last 6 months. So it's been multiple sales that have led to the decline versus like one big sale with the finest. So
also, if it was being taken from the top price and not, the top of the roller coaster there would be significantly worse. But
Yeah.
this might be an instance where like Topps Chrome, just a better brand than Topps Finest.
Yep. I mean, I definitely would say that maybe like more people would be willing to spend the bigger amount of money on that. Not to say Topps Finance isn't a great product. I love Topps Finance, but like I think once you start to talk about like the $40,000-$50,000 range or even the 20K from before, and also I would imagine that the pop wouldn't have doubled within the last 2 months. Obviously, going from 1 to 2 different than 16 to 32, but still.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got here, Nate?
So Serena, we all remember when Serena cards were as hot as could be. DJ made a boatload on Serena cards, and yet her net pro elite glossy out of 100, one of her best cards, if not her best card, potentially. Aaron.
Yeah, definitely her best card outside of the dual jersey auto.
Okay. Still significant drop, 58% from March 13th to June 25th.
You want me to point something out here?
Yeah.
So there were four sales of this is logged in Card Ladder starting on August 25th, 2021. So less than a year ago was $7,400. So from there till now, it's up like $4,000. 2 different sales happened. One last October for 27K, and then the one on the graph you all see here in March for 27K also. I don't know if you know this, Nate, but you probably do. Serena's husband is like the founder of Reddit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was buying and posting quite a bit of Serena cards over the
So
last
you might have been inflating the market
6 to 9 months. Well, I'm not okay. He's buying his wife's cards. That's cool. I'm
No,
just saying,
I know.
yeah,
He's just paying whatever he wants to because he's the founder of Reddit and he's a billionaire and it doesn't matter.
that plus this is the whole thing we just talked about. Let's just say he's like, oh, I got 2. I don't need any more. I got 2 of the 100. Maybe I have a PSA 10 also. And then he's not bidding on the one that comes up 3 months later in June. And then you take out one bidder and you see 13K or whatever this went for. Yeah,
Yep.
right around there. So that's just the point is that I think stuff like that happens more we realize, which leads to some of these dips in prices, which could lead to some opportunity for some people. What if some people missed out on the 27K, the 2 sales, and said, oh, wow, now I can get the Serena rookie for $13,000. This is awesome. And they might be very happy right now that they didn't pay the 27, instead paid half of that.
Yeah. What's crazy to me real quick is that like a lot of the people we've talking about, Kevin Durant, obviously one of the best basketball players in the world, will go down as like a top 20 basketball player all time, whatever he is when he finishes.
Definitely not likability though.
Not likability, no. And some of the other people we've talked about, Mia Hamm, people along this list, they've been really good, but maybe not the greatest of all time. We are talking about quite literally the greatest like female tennis player of all time.
Yeah, and potentially one of the most dominant like inside sport at a given time.
Yeah.
I totally agree there.
So it's interesting.
Definitely.
And here we go. 1949 Bowman Jackie Robinson PSA 8. So we went way back just to show you that it wasn't just newer vintage from 1980 or, LeBron stuff from 2003 or stuff a little bit newer than that. Even cards as old as 1949 Bowman Jackie Robinson dropping in price, 25% drop in the last 6 months. $13,000 drop in price.
Can I provide a counterpoint?
Provide away.
So, while yes, there are some vintage cards that have dropped. Vintage market is so hard to put on a chart, like so incredibly hard to put on a chart. The one that sold,
because there's a difference. There's a difference between even PSA8s.
yes,
right?
And that's my exact point here. The one that sold for 52K on Heritage, had very good centering. This PSA I'm looking at right now, like it's not exactly like 50-50 all the way around, but much better than the one that just sold for 39. So this one, maybe there's a little bit of drop just because of said economic affairs, but this card was no doubt selling for lower than even if it sold at the exact same time. Maybe it wasn't, what is that, Nate? $14,000 less or something.
13,
yeah,
but yeah,
13. Maybe it's not $13,000 less, but it's definitely some dollar amount less. And it really does just go to show that vintage is a very look at what you buy type of market, which I actually like that theory a lot. I think just buying something because it's in a case with a grade on it, no matter who graded it, is not the way to do it. definitely always check condition no matter what, and check eye appeal to yourself and what you like more. And I'd say pay for that. And someone definitely paid for that here, which is probably a good call. So, but some vintage has done very well in the last 6 months, a good number of it, and then other stuff has not. But that, I think, is just like the modern market too. But yeah, here's an example, and maybe it's not a truthfully 25% drop, but I at least say 5%, probably somewhere in there.
Yeah. Quick. Tom says, I'm late, but made it. Tom, fresh off of his win yesterday in the PWCC live stream. So shout out, Tom. And then Matthew says, is this a market correction for the boom due to COVID? And I feel
mean,
like you
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, really quick comment before you said anything. I feel like I've seen some things that showed, like, the card ladder index and stuff, that it's right back down to where it was pre-COVID.
I would say most cards you look at, if you've seen stuff have steep drops in the past 2 years, you generally find it leveling off to around where it was right when the boom started, like right when it started. A lot of charts we've been posting on Instagram recently, I reference, this is the lowest it's been since, and a lot of times it's between March and May of 2020, which is right when like the boom kind of started. So I'd say, yeah, a lot of them have returned to around those prices, but there's other cards that are up a ton since then, like up a ton. It just depends on what it is, really. And a lot of the times it has to do with on card autograph versus versus sticker auto, Prism Parallel versus high end, super good eye appeal, super crazy rare parallel type of thing. It just has to do with what the card is. But yeah, there has been a lot.
All right, next up, just another vintage Cassius Clay. Don't know anything about this card. Pretty cool. But Muhammad Ali, 22.5%, right?
Perfect. So. Some of these we're gonna move through pretty quickly here because we have talked a lot about some of them. What do you got, Nate?
Oh, yep. So Aaron, card after your own heart here. You used to own one of these, the 1985 Nike promo card that is the size of a postcard.
Yeah, it's about a postcard. Yeah, it's bigger than an index card.
Yeah, so the size of a postcard, and I wanted to add this one in specifically because it's an odd card. Most of the cards we've had are normal type things. This is definitely one of the weirder, more expensive cards you will find, and yet Michael Jordan, weird, cool, quote unquote first rookie, 1985 as opposed to the 86 Clear.
Second.
84
star.
Yeah, and yet still 54% drop.
You do have to remember that any card that falls into the bucket of Jordan, Kobe, LeBron over the last 2 years, those things got so crazy priced because all the saying was what Nate said earlier, buy the best, and people were going for the best players. And then the most sought after cards, which this was one of them, even though it is a pop 171 PSA 10. So that's, a good amount. Any of these can pop up at any moment for sale. It's very hard to, state your price when there's one selling every so often. I was about to say Lou Gehrig. Ted Williams, 1939 play ball, PSA 5. Very, very small drop of barely.
The reason I added this in was because still even older than the 1949 Jackie Robinson, the 1939 play ball Ted Williams, only a 4% drop in price. So just goes to show you that not everything is doom and gloom. Not everything is the sky is falling. We're all toast. Case in point, Ted Williams, a 4% drop in this economy, it's basically like you made money.
Yep. Got a couple of comments to put out here. Chris said I'd never buy vintage ungraded. The only way that I would do that is like when we ran into the deal that Nate found for us. I was from a very, knew the person for a while, knew where the cards were kind of stored all the years. Yeah, I mean, going out there and just buying a random non-graded vintage card from a random person, I would probably just say go buy a lower grade card and save your headache of trying to make sure it's real or not altered or any of that stuff. But yeah, I'd say if you buy from someone and everything, like no problem with that. Matthew, also, how many of us can actually buy these $20,000 plus cards? That's a great point. We normally say that when what do you say, Nate?
I said, not me.
Yeah, I was gonna say normally we mention this before we start streams like this. And we don't do this all the time, just focus on specifically high-end cards, but there's just so many that have sold in the last 2 weeks that we wanted to. But yeah, I mean, probably like 99% of the stream right now between us sitting here and everyone in the comments and everything, probably can't go out there and buy one of these cards right now. But it's still worth analyzing and looking at because generally, what's making the headlines in the market? The high-end cards. What gets people excited to go and buy different cards of said players? That isn't the high-end cards. It's the high-end cards selling. I think that's just how it goes. So it's still very much worth looking at and seeing how the bigger money's moving. But that's what's up. And then Jim also, really quick, I just want to highlight 2 comments from Jim because we did ask for comments on this stuff. Jim said, now as an economy have to get back. Oh, wait, sorry. I meant to read this one. The market correction is due to quantitative easing in the Federal Reserve policies. And then next comment was, that is why you see everything is going down together. It doesn't matter what the year or type of card. It's a market-wide correction. That goes for more than obviously just cards, crypto, stocks, NFTs, all that stuff. It's not food or rent. I'll tell you that much.
Yep.
Next up, we got 2 Kobe's here. Not much. Go ahead.
Well, I brought these 2 up back to back because, you know, the 9 without the coating, down in price 10%. Only 2 sales, obviously, but down in price. The 10 with the coating, up in price 12%. So you still can make same card, different grades. Coating added on makes you money. The other card doesn't. So sometimes, you know, it's just condition. What kind of card it is, you can still make money on the goats.
Yeah, it all depends on your buy point too. This thing is definitely above $60,000 at one point, but within the last 6 months, it was not. And also, with the coating on, is so much more difficult to grade. It's like scuffs and scratches very easily, that coating, which is why you peel it off, and it's a perfect refractor, basically. Steph Curry won a 4th championship, can't even avoid it. Card number out of 999 here. This is top score on base rookie 9.5. Down 60% in the last 6 months. That is tough looking at that card and thinking it has above 25K with 999 copies and it being a 9.5 from BGS.
Isn't that crazy though?
Yeah.
Because most of the time you're like, all right, so all these big cards are going down, but you know, these guys haven't been doing much. Almost all of them to a T have not done anything in sports this year worthy of writing home about.
Yeah.
And then you get to Steph Curry and you're like, surely winning a championship and stuff should have his price rising. And yet you look at this chart, same as the rest.
It definitely depends on the card, though. It's all about availability. This card, very available, very high supply. I mean, okay,
to 999. There's only 1,000.
No, I know. It's not like it's a base card that there's like 25,000 of. So yes, lower supply, but for that amount of money, I know that the Curry Gold Kaboom 9.5, I think, did well outsold the previous one, and that sold in the premier auction the night that they won the finals. So like, it just really depends on the card specifically. And when this is the other thing I didn't mention earlier. When you're in a down market, when people look at their collection and say, okay, if I have to pick and choose a few different cards to sell right now just to make sure I've got some savings, whatever, you pick the ones you know you can buy later. You know you'll be able to find this card later. You absolutely know you'll be able to find a 9.5 Curry of 999 later in life at some point. You don't know if you can find another gold Kabuma at 10, at least for the price you paid. So that's the thing.
Fair point. And we all do that to an extent, even not those of us selling $26,000 or $10,000 cards, but even if you're selling your $50 cards, it's like, would I rather sell this $200 card that might be a pain in the butt to get later, or would I rather sell a couple $50 cards and call it a day?
Exactly. Brady, BGS 10 Bowman Chrome rookie, down significantly, 48%. Another card that, yes, it is a BGS 10 pristine, but there's more than one of those out there. And you see multiple sell in the last 6 months and the price goes down. Nate's boy, or at least baseball right here, Mike Trout, Bowman Chrome on card auto 9.5, down 23% in the last 6 months. So this is not like, it's not awesome. I mean, down 23% is not something to party about, but it's not down 48%.
What's crazy is obviously Mike Trout was playing well.
Yeah.
Still down.
Yeah.
Which, again, proves Jim's point.
But I'd say, and maybe I'd have to look and see, but it just depends on the card too. You know, the other thing. It's like, I think that his Diamond PSA 10s have actually held pretty strong, which is surprising. I thought that this would hold more value than that.
Definitely. I don't understand that at all, but I mean, I like a Topps Update Diamond, but if you gave me the option between Topps Update Diamond or there's like a $2,000 difference between this sale and the last Topps Update Diamond sale I've seen. I think one just ended the other night that I didn't look at. I didn't see the price.
So the last one actually sold for 8,600 2 days ago.
Oh, so that's a drop.
Yeah, so one of them sold crazily 14K for some reason, and then this one's 8,600. It's down 22% though in the last 6 months, so it's pretty similar. Like you would expect it to drop far more than this when there's 311 PSA 10s of the diamond, PSA 10 alone. So yeah, interesting for sure. And then the last one Nate picked here was the BGS 10 Acuna Sapphire, which this is one of Acuna's best cards for sure. They barely made any of this set that year, and it's the it's the only bat down chrome card you can get actually is a Sapphire rookie. And I don't know why it would be down 32% compared to like actually I guess so. If you think about it, Mike Trout constantly a market, Acuna prospect, well, not prospect baseball terms. You know what I'm saying? Not established like Trout to where
established, but not Trout levels.
Yes. All right. In the midst of all of this, we have got a few more cards to show to wrap up the stream. But I want to say tomorrow on Whatnot, 6 p.m. Eastern time, Nate is hosting a 50% off stream. We're doing, what is it, Nate? 10 different blasters of Bowman Baseball from 2019, where every single pack is going to be sold for $12 a pack, which is a super deal compared to these boxes and what they cost. So like 150 plus boxes, and you can buy a pack for as cheap as $12 tomorrow. You better be quick, because there's only, I think, 60 packs that'll be available.
Yep.
And you just gotta buy it now on the spot. But what?
Also,
yeah,
we will be giving a blaster box away.
A full blaster box, that is. So if you do want to join, you want to get some cheap packs compared to the value of them, please go out and download the Whatnot app. Hit the link in the description of this video. It gets you $10 in free credit. You can use that $10 in free credit basically to buy your entire pack as it is, and we'll have a good time and maybe pull a bunch of Wander and Julio and Luciano prospect cards and maybe some colors. That'd be crazy. That would be crazy. I know Nate's going to flip out if he does pull an auto, one of them.
If I pull an auto, just period, I'll be pumped. If I pull an auto of one of those guys, I might die.
Exactly. So that's tomorrow night on Whatnot, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Would love to have you all there. And then also the 29th and the 30th, we've got back-to-back soccer streams with new soccer product. Nate's going on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time with some of the new Topps Chrome stuff, some of the Women's Champions League, some of the Stadium Club Bundesliga, and the new Topps Chrome Hobby. That will be very cheap to buy into. It should be very fun. And then I'll be hosting a one-box Obsidian hit draft along with some Stadium Club and some Prism EPL, what was it? Oh, I don't know if it's like team all boxes or what, but there's a guaranteed card number at 23 or less, which took me by surprise, and I'm pretty excited about. So should be fun. Please join on Whatnot if you do want to. And a lot of our packs sell for good deals. Like if you're looking to rip and you're looking to not spend an insane amount of money, I'd highly recommend coming to our Whatnot streams if you do still want to get some packs ripped, because you will find some good deals. All right, here starts my section here for the rest of the ones that for today, the high-end cards. Chris, really quick. Aaron, before you go, Trinity Rodman soccer worth investing in. Not gonna lie, Chris, I literally have never heard the name Trinity Rodman in my life. When I saw Trinity, I first thought of the product Leaf Trinity. So I'm definitely, I see, women's player. There we go. I kind of figured it might have been a women's player once I said the name. I kind of just rolled off the tongue like that. But no, I don't know her at all.
She is 20. She's from Newport Beach, California.
And she was the youngest player ever to get drafted in the NWSL. So, okay, I mean, if she's a stud and you can find some good cards where go for it. I mean, by the time that they're playing. What?
She's actually Dennis Rodman's kid.
Oh, is she actually? Oh, my gosh, she is. Oh, that's another reason to buy it. People will know her name like within the second that they start playing big competitions in women's soccer.
Wow.
Go for it. Now I know. But we got the Messi here. It's the Campeón. This is the Spanish version, PSA 10. From the Autografo. This dropped 44%. This is like 150 PSA 10s out there. It really, the market, all it has to do with supply now. If a lot of supply hits the market, the price is going down. This is a card that a lot of supply could hit the market at one time. I mean, there's better Messi rookies out there too. Like for me, I'd rather own any lower grade 71, number 71, which is the true mega cracks. So that's how I see it. When something's not the best of the best, and there's higher supply, it's definitely dropping in price. Another LeBron card on the drop. I just want to show that on-card rookie autographs are getting hurt too for LeBron. It's not just like an X Factor from Topps Chrome. If people like to think about like, oh, maybe Topps Chrome or Prism was overinvested in, Even this on card auto at 500 BGS 9 dropped 35% in the last 6 months.
Hey, real quick, can
Yep.
I answer this? BLK said last comment. His comment was, should we continue to buy big cards and hold them in fear of missing out? And my answer, I don't know what your answer would be, but Aaron, my answer would be you got to choose, you got to decide that on your own. Because at the end of the day, it is your money. So if you feel like this is a good time to buy, you should buy. If you feel like the market's going to keep dropping, don't buy and hope it keeps dropping. You might miss out, you might not. If you buy now and it keeps dropping, you might regret not waiting. But since these are very expensive cards and it is your money, that is one of those things that you gotta choose for yourself.
I would also like to point out, which we haven't brought up yet, is that we are in the midst of like NBA finals ending, NFL nothing doing right now until training camp starts and everything. NHL playoffs just ended. And MLB in the middle of the season, where I would say if you're not like a diehard MLB fan, you're probably not paying attention too hard right now. That is about like one of the worst times to be like even not ignoring all economic things, but just all these other years. That's one of the worst times to like sell cards is when nothing's going on. There's no excitement for certain things happening. Once we hit August and September, that's gonna be a good time to kind of assess the market and see, okay, football is coming. Did the card for X football player actually go up in price, or is it still trending down, even if it's a really stinking good card? That'll be a great way for us to tell, like, hey, maybe it is worth waiting 6 more months to buy that card. But I will say there's certain cards you don't want to wait on because who knows if you even see in the next 6 months. That's going to happen to people. You're going to have to make a decision on that. I like what Nate said. Kind of analyze it for yourself. As for me, that's what we'll be doing. And I will say a lot of right now, raw, grade, and find the cards that people want in their collections, because that's probably one of the best ways right now to actually still kind of turn profit in the shorter term as you're going through this market is really doing the raw and then the grading. And right now we've been doing a lot of SGC, cost effective and super quick turnaround times, incredibly fast. I have a huge slab reveals coming out this Wednesday. I think it's going to release. Please watch that. It's going to be a great watch. I think it'll be very exciting. But that's the kind of the mode of operation. Then as for bigger cards, like you commented about, yeah, it just has to do with what it is. I would sure as heck not spend right now on this Messi. I don't think we're at the bottom for something like this. That's at like 3,500 with like 150 PSA 10s out there. If you're buying a out of 5 Messi from National Treasures patch auto or something like that, I would say buy it if you can. And if it's down a significant amount from the last sale, something like that. What's up, any given punch?
But again, only if you're comfortable with it,
Yes.
because it is your money.
Yes, I meant to say if you do fall in the bucket of where you're like, yes, I would like to buy a high end card for the future, then do it. Obviously, if you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. Even if you think you can make money at, because if you don't, then you'll be kicking yourself. You gotta feel comfortable doing it.
Yep.
Pulled out another baseball here. This is Tatis. Now this one is hard to really sit here and be like, oh yeah, this is just the economy. It's not. I mean, Tatis hasn't played an ounce of baseball this year.
I'm actually shocked it's only 25%.
So am I. It's down 25% in the last 6 months. That's $11,000. There's a Tatis Bowman Chrome Gold Auto at 50, but started at 43. So
maybe the new secret to success long term in this market is to just be injured so you can't possibly play and drop your market farther.
We'd have to look at different players to make sure that holds true. I know you're joking though. Ronaldo PSA 10. This thing is like a pop, I don't know, 23 or something like that. This is not like the Messi I showed. This is like the best of the best Ronaldo rookie, and it dropped 34% in the last 6 months now, or actually, just kidding, in the last like 2 months. But this card for different reasons too. Ronaldo, Manchester United, not a great season. Ronaldo had a decent individual year, but no trophies, no big competitions or anything. So it'll be interesting to see how a card like this reacts in the next 6 months. Soto. Now, this one, a lot of people, I think the narrative's out against Soto right now, which is hurting his cards more so than actually his performances. People saying that he's worse than he is, probably, Nate, right?
Yeah, people are quick to forget what he does in the second half of every season and quick to say, what have you done for me lately? Do yourself a favor, look up his splits, look up what is going on here, instead of just saying, oh, 808 OPS must stink now, trash.
Right.
I mean, there's some red flags there. He has been hitting the ball opposite field a lot, feasting on fastballs, getting fooled a little bit. So, like, there are some red flags, but also in his career, he's like an 870 OPS guy in the first half, and 1,000 OPS guy in the second half, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's more of the same this year.
Global Sports Card Investor, I like this comment. Do your research, ask questions, and buy whatever you love, and you will, I'm sure, have a great time. Chris, if you buy with no intention of quick flipping, the card gods will be good to you down the road. I will say, like, if you, let's just say you were to buy into like a mutual fund for your retirement or stocks or whatever, you wouldn't check that thing like every single day saying, oh my gosh, I gotta sell this entire thing because it's down 30%. Would you say that, Nate?
No.
Exactly.
In fact, I don't want to look at my 401k because I know it's bad.
Exactly.
And
So,
you just avoid it.
But guess what? The last time that people sat there and said, oh, this is down, and then they said, oh, like Nate, I want to avoid it. 6 years later or something, you look up and you're like, oh, I'm glad I didn't touch it, like that type of deal. So it kind of falls in line with what Chris said.
Yep.
Mahomes, I want to point this one out because this was one of the single biggest card drops I've actually seen within like a 6 to 7 month span. And this is a rare card, like a very rare card. Out of 10 RPA National Treasures 9.5 with the logo patch. Is over $1 million back last September. Sold for 480,000 or 500, right around the 500K. And that's down 56%. This is not in the last 6 months. Obviously, it's down in the last like 9 months, but I still want to point out because sometimes if you do go for like it's all about buying at the right time. It doesn't necessarily have to do with buying the right thing. Like there's no doubt that this is like the right card. Like this is one of Mahomes' best cards, but you buy it the wrong time and it doesn't really matter. The market isn't going to look at it and say, oh, it's the best card. If it's just the wrong time, it's the wrong time, which is unfortunate, but that was one massive sale. And anyone else that would have sold this thing right now, if it wasn't the $1 million sale, would have made like 400 grand on this card. So it's another time to where that person who sold this thing for 500K, yeah, it's not a million, but guess what? Probably pretty happy today with $400,000 more. And then the last market segment to highlight here would be Marvel. We talked. Actually, I didn't have any hockey here. What happened to my Formula One? Huh. Oh, at that end, I moved it to the end. I think. I hope. Marvel though, this is the complete set of 2013. So the first Marvel PMG set. This is a blue PMGs out of 50. Every single card except for 20 are 22 are 9.5s. 20 are. Wait, excuse me. I'm sorry. The Spider-Man is a 9.5. There are 20 SGC 9s, and the rest are different grades. So the Spider-Man, the best card in the set, is a 9.5, mint plus. $66,000 was the sale for the complete set. If you look back at the sales data on other grades from February and prior, PSA 7 alone sold for 72 grand. BGS 9 sold for 132 grand. And then way back when, May 24th, so about a year ago, BGS 9 sold for $12,000. Man, imagine flipping that card name from 12K to 132K in a year. That'd be cool.
That'd be very cool.
Dang. Okay, so my F1 card did get taken out. I don't know how. I must have accidentally deleted it when I was trying to move some stuff around. But I had a Lewis. I want to point out, yes, not every single F1 card has been immune to the last 6 months. Because if you bought, let's say, something you thought was a super hard to grade PSA 10 Aqua of 99 PSA 10 back at the beginning of the year, it was like a $35,000 card, and now it's $12K, the most recent sale. It all depends on what you're buying at what time. Was it overpriced at the time? Was it not? That card was. But I want to point out too, not everything is down in the last 6 months. Here's a Charles Leclerc gold out of 50 PSA 8 that went from $1,500 up to $4,500 and maintained around $4,500 to $4,600 with the last sale. So up 236% in the last 6 months. Now he physically did a lot to alter that. Won 2 races. Ferrari was in the running for the championship. Now they're not at the moment. Well, hopefully they get back into it. But it just all depends on what they do. Just like Aaron Judge. This isn't within the last 6 months. It's actually within the last year. But within the last year, an 80% gain on Aaron Judge card. And even a rise. I'm sure this thing would be an increase in price if there was one earlier in this 2022. But it really just depends on what you're looking at and when it was bought and everything.
Real quick, Matthew said in relation to who are we talking about OPS wise? Was it Vlad? Somebody else? He said Soto. Okay, so he said, I thought I heard OPS is down across the entire league. Is that true? So this year, Vlad Guerrero Jr. has a 140 OPS or OPS plus and an 860 OPS. 860 OPS and a 140 WRC plus, which takes in park factors. Last year, I took Max Muncy. There was 3 guys that had 140 WRC pluses. A couple of them were Cincinnati Reds, which super easy park to hit in, so I didn't want to take that. So instead, I took Max Muncy, which is probably a little bit more difficult of a park to hit in Dodger Stadium than in Toronto, and he had an 895 OPS. So, 35 points higher for the same WRC plus. If you want to take the Reds players, they were in the 900s for the same WRC plus. So, yes, OPS is pretty significantly down across the board. And I do think people are kind of having a hard time adjusting to that, where they see an 808 OPS from Juan Soto and they say, oh, that's trash. But outside of Aaron Judge and Yordan Alvarez and those guys, most people's OPSs are down.
Definitely. All right. Well, that is actually the end of the line here for the presentation. That is all we have for today. We're over 6:08 p.m. right now, so a good stopping time. Have a question here from Tom, though. Nate, do you think Glaber has a chance to bounce back and have a good rest of the season, seeing he seems to be heating up some? Well, he is bounced back a lot from his kind of putrid last couple of years, right?
He has. And that was one of those things where it's like, when he has a 789 OPS, which, again, a couple years ago, you'd be like, not very good. This year, 124 OPS plus, that's 24% better than league average. And that was one of those things that before the season, Aaron, do you remember me talking about this, where I was like, I don't like Gleiber, but I do think that there is maybe a buying opportunity here because pressure to perform with a decent number of shortstops behind him in the system, it's like a make or break year for him, and he has not broken. So nice to see.
Definitely. BLK, did you guys have fun at the Midwest Monster? It was an awesome time. I had a great time there. I had a ton of fun at the Chicago Sports Spectacular. I'm glad you did. Thursday was dry, but Friday and Saturday I sold a lot. Well, congratulations. It's always great to sell a lot at a show. Will you guys be attending the Burbank Card Show late August? We will not be. I'll actually be on vacation up north. Probably half vacation, doing half work. But I'll be gone. And then also the National August is kind of like the chill time from the National, where the National is just the biggest and the most time consuming thing, but also the most rewarding and amazing event of the year. And then August last year, we also took pretty much off from the show aspect. But that's all we got for today. I guess we kind of said a lot throughout the stream. If I want to summarize what we said in one or two sentences, it'd be that not everyone who's selling these cards with these drops that we're seeing are losing a ton of money. It just means that some people are probably making less money than they could have if they hit the peak sale, but these people are probably still making money who are selling these high-end cards right now. And then the other thing I'd say is if you do have great conviction and want to collect for a long time going forward and find this is a time to buy, maybe target a couple rare pieces. If you don't feel comfortable doing that right now for a lot of various reasons, then don't. But all I gotta say is that I still see tons of people engaging in online discussions about cards, in person at shows about cards. The market is still so, like, if you look at 2 years ago, and Nate mentioned, some of these prices may have regressed a little bit towards like where it was pre-COVID. True on some cards, but the strength of the hobby and the collecting the market is far and beyond way above what it was then. I can guarantee you that, which is amazing to see. And I think that's what we have to watch to see long-term success for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, Nate?
Not really. Just if you're buying right now, be confident in what you're buying in and be willing to spend the money for yourself. Please don't look to others, especially in a market like this. Don't look to others to give you the answers. Make sure that you're comfortable yourself buying what you're getting.
Chris, Nate, next Brewers prospect call up just before we go. Who do you think?
Can I say Ethan Small again?
Sure.
I'm going to say Ethan Small.
Ethan Small. Before y'all go, Trey Sweeney long term.
Having a real tough season, under 700 OPS. I just looked him up the other day. Under 700 OPS as a college shortstop in high A, I believe. You kind of want to see a little bit more, but guys go through these little dry spells. We'll just have to see how he bounces out of it before I want to make any calls on that.
Got you. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today's show. Next thing we got coming up this week is some videos that we posted. Slab reveals coming out on Wednesday. 5 at 5 coming on Thursday. And then also on Sunday, we get back with our Flip Quest episode number 24. We hope you all had a great week, and we'll catch you all in our next videos and live streams.